Our entire image is crafted to leave a lasting impression with anyone who listens. We are audio, recognizable only as waveforms and heard just as quickly. We do exist, though we were never even born. Nostalgia is our name, reviewing our native tongue. We're no longer a bicentennial show. We're past the windmill now. Over it. Beyond it. We're Rewinders. We're the pod. We are the Retro Rewind Podcast.
Hef, you know the difference between you and me? I make interrupting look good.
Reflux capacitor, fluxing, crew to stations. Scanning for Men in Black, 1997. Prepare to rewind in 3, 2, 1.
Welcome, Rewinders and new listeners, to the Retro Rewind Podcast, where we take a fresh look at movies and games from 15 or more years ago. I'm your captain of the pod, Francisco Ruiz, and I'm joined by your XO and mine, Paul, the Master Interrupter Powers.
Did you flashy thing me?
No.
Cap, did you flashy thing me?
No. Also, for this discussion of the film Men in Black, we welcome back aboard award-winning broadcaster Christian Uncle and one of the from the Kings of Sports podcast, Ship's chef, Nate Milton, a.k.a. Brother Nate. Hey, Brother Nate.
Ladies and gentlemen, if I could direct your attention right here, I want you to look right here. Everything's under control. What you have witnessed was a drill. Everything is fine. Go back to your normal, mundane, everyday lives. The coronavirus was a myth. It doesn't exist. And now I can take off my glasses and get back to the regular non-filtered glasses. There we go, gentlemen. There we go. Now we
I feel a lot better.
Wow.
Yes.
Brother Nate.
All of our problems are gone. Yes. All of our problems have been flashy thinged away. If only that was a real application we could use, gentlemen. But no, it's good to be back, man. It seems like forever since the last time we talked, which I believe was Rush Hour.
No, it's Spider-Man 2 at the beginning of this year, beginning of 2020, before everything went to pot. So
that's right. Yeah. So it's Spider-Man, Rush Hour, Spider-Man 2. Exactly. And now here we are.
Yeah, indeed.
Men in Black.
Indeed.
Another franchise. We have to have Brother Nate back.
It's in my contract.
Yeah. You always just start the franchise. You just got to finish them out. Well, now that you have a quick flyby of who we are, Paul, can you give us a quick overview of the production specs of the second movie we are covering in our season of sci-frights this year, Men in Black?
All right. Men in Black was released July 2nd, 1997. It runs an hour and 38 minutes and is rated PG-13. It is directed by Barry Sonnenfeld. And it was written by Lowell Cunningham, who did the comic books, and Ed Solomon. You know who Ed Solomon is? You know what else he did?
Sounds familiar, but no.
Well, he wrote other fine films as like the original, or I should say the 2000s Charlie's Angels, but he's mainly the co-creator of Bill and Ted, which is awesome.
Oh, cool.
Excellent.
Okay.
Yeah. He also wrote the Super Mario Brother movie, so we're going to pass on that and keep going.
Awesome.
So, with the lead stars being...
Can't all be winners.
Exactly.
Yeah.
True.
Men in Black lead stars being Tommy Lee Jones, Will Smith, and Linda Fiorent. Sorry, Linda. I can't pronounce her last name.
Fiorentino, I believe.
Sure, we'll go with that. The music was composed by Danny Elfman. So, are you ready for the box office trivia game?
Yes, and Brother Nate, are you ready?
Let's go.
Chat, you ready? Let's go, Paul.
All right, Men in Black, the first film, was made for about $90 million and earned almost $600 million at the box office.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, this thing raked it in. Okay, so this movie is based on a comic book or graphic novel, and there have been several. In fact, this movie is in the top 25 if you count inflation, and we're looking at just domestic here. Okay. So in the top 25, where do you think Men in Black currently rank?
Of comic book, like movie adaptations of comic books.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
So the $600 million, that's just domestic.
That's no 600 million is worldwide.
Okay.
But in this number, let me go ahead and give you the domestic. Adjusted for inflation is almost $500 million.
Ooh, okay.
Wow. Brother Nate, what do you think? Out of 25.
All right, so it's obviously a big number, but it's not in that top 5 because I'm assuming those are all MCU, DC.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's a good point.
I'll tell you what. Avengers Endgame is number 1.
Yep, Endgame, probably Infinity War, Black Panther, Justice League. Even though it wasn't very good, but that's another discussion for another day. I'm gonna say, all right. So Men in Black is in the top 25.
Yes.
I'm going to guess that it wound up at, or it's currently standing at number 14.
14.
All right.
Okay.
Right in the middle of the pack.
All right.
Yeah.
I'm going to go, since I can't go number 1 because Paul already gave that away. $1, Bob. I'm going to go just a little bit higher and say 12. And in chat, we have Star Fox guesses 12. Geek Devotions guesses 10. Dale guesses 25, which I guess that's possible. And Enthusiast also guesses 10.
All
So,
right.
What
the
is the...
correct
Oh, yeah, go ahead, Paul.
answer is number 9. So Geek Devotions wins with 10. Good
Geek
job.
Devotions and Enthusiasts with 10.
Oh,
yeah, they
Thank
both.
you.
Yeah. 12.5, Solomon. Sorry, no, that didn't work either. Good try, though. Good try. That half a movie.
So that's the reason, ladies and gentlemen, why we had Men in Black International not too long ago. Because if there's money to be made, they will find it.
Yeah, that's true. Let's bleed these franchises dry.
Exactly.
Well, thank you for those factoids, Paul. And let's see if any of them factor into our memory mind meld or subsequent roundtable discussion, which we will get into once Alice has located our target film.
Alert. Approaching target. Spoilers incoming. Establishing analysis vector.
You have no idea who you're dealing with.
When the FBI can't handle it. When the CIA can't see it. The MIB
We are the Men in Black. Fasten your seatbelt.
is all over it. This summer,
How to use these things? No idea whatsoever.
they're protecting the Earth from the scum of the universe.
You have any idea how much that stings?
Tommy Lee Jones, Will Smith, Men in Black. Now playing in theaters everywhere.
That commercial definitely brings back some memories about Men in Black, but to give you some context for the things we collectively remembered most before our rewatch, here is our memory mind meld synopsis of Men in Black. The movie opens with illegal aliens. Then there was a bright flash. Wait, after that, that's weird, guys. I don't really remember much.
What just happened?
I think we're doing a podcast.
All right.
I don't
Let's
know.
do it.
Okay, yeah. I guess we didn't really have memories, which was weird. But what rain did we predict that this film would be before we rewatched it? Brother Nate, did you predict classic, nostalgic, or tragic?
I predicted classic. I mean, like before I even went back to rewatch it, I was like, this is prime Will Smith when he's just kind of entering that early stage of his career where everybody took him seriously. Tommy Lee Jones, the crazy special effects, got to be a classic.
Classic. All right. Awesome. Paul, how about you?
I agree. Classic.
Classic. For me, I was actually a little hesitant because I remember enjoying it, but I hadn't really felt that compelled to watch it. So I actually said nostalgic. It'll be interesting to see if those predictions came true. But first, let's get into our discussion of the things we liked most about Men in Black. Let's spin up our...
Best 3.
All right, and let's start with Brother Nate. What's one thing you liked about Men in Black?
The first thing I just mentioned it, fellas, and that is that this is the film that really kind of cemented Will Smith's status as a legit actor. You know,
totally.
This is the third of that Will Smith trilogy that I like to talk about, where we got Bad Boys in 95, then we come to
Independence Day
in 96, which was another crazy hit. And then we got 97 Men in Black. We're not going to talk about Wild Wild West.
Come on.
We're not going to. That's not allowed in the club. They can't sit with us. But like, because I think up until that point, like Bad Boys, people were like, oh, Will Smith might have a little something here. He's not just the rapper, or he's not just the sitcom guy, from Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
Yeah.
And then Independence Day, it's like, oh, this guy's he could be the next action star. And then I think what I like about Men in Black is it built on Bad Boys, it built on Independence Day, and it wasn't just Will as an action star. It allowed them to showcase the comedy and the chemistry with him and Tommy Lee Jones. So I think this is a very important movie when you kind of look back at Will Smith's career.
You know what's interesting? It's almost like an amalgamation of Bad Boys and Independence Day. You got the buddy cop thing with the aliens. So it's like, they like built on each other. That's cool. I'm sure that wasn't intentional, but that was just a funny thing. Paul, what was something you liked? Was it Will Smith in this or any of the other characters?
Yeah, it was actually the supporting cast. There was a lot of minor roles that were played by actors like, oh, I know that guy. Like, there's Darth Maul running away from Will Smith.
Was that Ray Park? I wasn't sure. I looked in the credits and I didn't see his name, so I was confused.
It looked like Ray Park.
Okay,
I didn't look in the credits. But you have Edgar, who's that guy from Full Metal Jacket.
I didn't do my research, but whatever.
Yeah, and then you have the guy whose wife is delivering a baby in the car, who's actually the alien in Galaxy Quest who dies, and while he's asking,
my gosh, yes, that's
true. Graftar's hammer.
I forgot about that. Yes, that's where I recognize him from. Okay.
So then there's all these other people like who's also in Galaxy Quest. The Tony, what's his name that gets his head
Tony Shalhoub.
Tony Shalhoub. Yeah. Oh yeah. Jeez Louise.
So there's so many people in this. I even think Edgar's wife. I think I recognize her from somewhere, but it's just it's fun to spot all these people.
Very
They're
cool.
like Hercules' dad.
Rip Torn.
Yes,
I am Rip Torn.
Yes.
But yeah, it doesn't look like Ray Park was in Men in Black.
It looked just like him.
I agree. Oh wait, yeah, no, that's Ray Patrick. No, he wasn't in this.
No, maybe
Sorry,
he's
Paul.
uncredited or he changed his name. I'm going to have to double check that.
They usually list uncredited or
I know.
playing
I
as.
know.
But
You think?
you would think, or would you? I don't know. But let's move on to something I like.
It's Ray Park's stunt double.
Oh my gosh. They didn't capture him. He died. Continuing on in this vein of the actors we really liked about this in this film, I don't remember. I think this is more just me being more of a grown up, I was going to say, an adult, having sort of more, I guess, sophisticated taste. I don't know if that's probably a bit too pompous of myself to say, but I really enjoyed Vincent D'onofrio. I thought he was just such a great. I didn't really understand how much he was acting to be a bug. I guess in my kid brain, I almost thought it was an alien in a skin suit playing. Because it was just so natural that's how an alien crammed into this body would be like. So
I tell you what, the makeup on that was fantastic.
Yeah.
It did not look like him.
And it decays as it goes. It gets more and more gross. So yeah, the makeup for that was great, but also his performance I really, really liked. So, okay, let's go back to Brother Nate. What's something else you enjoyed about this film?
Well, it kind of piggybacks off of what you were just talking about with the bug wearing the Edgar suit, and that is the special effects.
Yeah.
Because in my opinion, like, obviously you can tell that it was made, in another time. It's not the latest technology, but to me, it still holds up. Like, I watched it this past week, and I hadn't seen it in about 5 years, and before that, it was probably another 5 years. Maybe that's my tradition. Every 5 years, I'll break out the Men in Black DVD.
There you go.
The special effects, like, they still hold up, and I feel like if you don't have the wide variety of alien species that we see in this film, if we don't have, Frank the Pug, or if we don't have the worm guys, I feel like the world of Men in Black gets smaller. Yeah. And you can't do this movie if it's a small world after all. It has to be like this big, all-encompassing world. Like, even the gag at the end where they find out where we find out because they don't know.
Yeah.
And they're like, just some alien's play toy, in a bag of marbles.
Yeah.
And I think that like the special effects really cemented like what could on paper, Paul, this could have been a flop, because you're like, okay, let's pair Will Smith and Tommy Lee Jones up. On paper, you're like, I don't know if that's gonna work. Let's have them
that
chase
is a weird
aliens.
combination. Yeah,
like based on this obscure comic book. So, like on paper, this probably shouldn't have worked. But I think the combination between the actors and the cast, like you were talking about, and then the special effects, really put it over the top.
Yeah. And that's pretty much my second like too was just. More specifically, like the practical effects. I think a lot of the CG that they did do definitely held up, and I couldn't really tell a lot of the time, except for the final bug at the end, the Edgar suit wearing bug, but when he is in bug form, I could tell that was pretty much all CG. But at least I think it was. I guess if it wasn't, then I really was confused. But no,
lots of really an alien.
Oh my god! In the skin suit, I knew it. Such a good actor, that alien.
The alien's uncredited.
There you go.
It was Ray Park playing a bug, playing Vincent D'onofrio. It's Inception all over the place there. But I thought. I really liked, for instance, the Arkelian. I'm very curious if they made a really small puppet that the really like the guy that looks like Paul right now inside the big heads, talking and saying where Orion's belt was. That looked so good. I'm almost positive that I'm almost positive that was a puppet, but it looked like a real alien. Just stuff like that, or I really appreciated all of that. I like all the different production design and all the guns and all the cool things from the noisy cricket to the big, I forget the deatomizer. He's like, that's what I'm talking about. So that practical effects for me. Second, like, how about you, Paul?
Mine is the premise or the story, just the idea of someone being recruited in and learning about this alien world and the alien takeover. It's a fun story.
It is, totally.
Yeah.
Bobo says it's a documentary, in fact. So yeah, I can see how they really made a great blockbuster out of this real life story.
Yeah, and watch out for the people coming to your door real quick here, Bobo. You have about less than 5 minutes.
But okay, so the story, was there any specific element in the story, or is that playing to your classic maker?
No, it's just I think this movie.
I mean, the premise of Men in Black is like a common thing.
Right. No, but it's more rewatchable to see like the fish out of water. Here you have the character of exploring, finding out this fun new world, or that's potentially dangerous or whatever. It's like just
the training sequence of like when he's going in for the testing. That still is one of the greatest scenes in movie history, in my opinion. Where he shoots the little girl, and then they're like why did you do that? And he's like, well, this dude clearly is just working out. He's just trying to get his swole on, and this guy, he's just walking down the street. He's gonna sneeze, but this little girl, those books are way too advanced for little Susie. Yeah, like it's
walk out at night. I
feel like that section is because I think it does something movies don't really do these days. In that it because I feel like if they made Men in Black, like if we hadn't had this in 97 and somebody was like, today let's make Men in Black in 2020, I feel like they would get to the actual Men in Black stuff so quick and gloss over like, because we have like a whole scene where Will Smith's character Agent J or James, I guess, before he joins, like he has to think about what he's gonna do. And he just kind of sits on that bench all night. It's like, am I gonna do it? Is it worth it? Is it worth giving up this life that is okay, but it's not? I'm not fulfilling my potential to go take this leap of faith. Like I think this movie is actually deeper than a lot of people might give it credit for, because we just kind of focus on the fun stuff. But they actually took some time, and I feel like that's what Paul's saying with the story is. This easily could have been just a quick buck, which unfortunately we'll probably see in Men in Black 2, which is like I think that's what went wrong in Men in Black 2, but Men in Black 1, like there's actually some heart to the movie, and I think that's what makes it work.
There's so much heart, and that's something that I mean, if you're going back to the movies of 2020, it seems like more and more there's less and less, more and more movies, there's less and less heart in them as we go on. And I don't know if I really don't think that's just nostalgia that there's all, for some reason I'm seeing all this heart in past movies. I think there was really this element of I wish I could come up with another word to describe it, but you nailed it with that, Brother Nate.
I think it's there in some movies. You know, like we talked about the Marvel movies
completely.
Like Endgame is full of heart, particularly at the end. But I also think there's a lot of movies, and maybe it's just because as human beings, as Americans, you know, primarily where most of this entertainment is being made at, there's been this cynicism, particularly over the last 4 or 5 years. And everything's dark, everything's gritty, everything's like a shade of gray with rain falling down. It's like,
yes,
it's all about let's lift up the anti-hero. Like, look at all the flaws. And, yeah,
he killed like 20 people, but he's really not. He's just misunderstood, guys.
Yeah,
you got to get to know him.
Yeah.
Oh,
let's watch him dance down the stairs.
Awesome, guys. Well, let's get on to our classic makers, the things we loved most about Men in Black. I'm going to go with Paul this time. What was your classic maker?
It's what Brother Nate started us off with. I love the main characters, the main stars, Will Smith, and the chemistry of Tommy Lee Jones. And it's a weird combination, like he said, on paper, but they have a magic touch together. I don't know what it is, but whenever they were on screen, I was enjoying the movie more.
Yeah, totally. Brother Nate, what was the most enjoyable part of this movie for you?
I feel like Paul and I just had a mind meld of our own right now, because that's my classic maker as well.
Hey, you guys, that's mine too.
Will Smith and Tommy Lee Jones. And again, like on paper, these two shouldn't mix. On paper, you think it's oil and water, but in actuality, it's, you know, you got Will Smith, you got the slick oil, and then you got Tommy Lee Jones, like the bitter vinegar. And oil and water may not mix, but oil and vinegar makes a delicious salad dressing.
It does. That's good.
That's what we got here, because like I love, like Tommy Lee Jones is perfect to kind of play. And I guess it's just Tommy Lee.
Almost?
Well, I guess it's Tommy Lee Jones just playing Tommy Lee Jones. Cause he's the same way in Captain America: First Avenger. Like the gruff, the grizzled guy who, like, you can tell he cares about people, but he doesn't. Like, he's from a different time. And now he's got Will Smith, and like Will Smith is just allowed to go all out here. And we, you know, like a lot of this stuff, I'm sure was improvised by Will on the set. And so, like, you get some great comedy moments, but then you also get like some sentimental moments, like at the very end. Spoiler alert, but for anybody that hadn't seen this movie from 1997, but we get the moment where Tommy Lee Jones is like, "Yeah, it's time to take a time out," and Will Smith is like, "You know, what's going on? You know, where you going? Aren't we supposed to be partners, man?" And he's like, "I haven't been training a partner, Slick. I've been training my replacement." It's like, oh. That's, like, Tommy Lee Jones finds a way to bring that emotion at the very end. So, like, I think the movie still would have been good if you maybe cast different people, but I think, like, these two were the perfect guys at the perfect times in their careers to do this movie.
Yeah. And speaking to that emotion part for Tommy Lee Jones, I loved how even just him looking at this screen, which I guess in a way is a little creepy, but you get that. You get the attachment that he has to his former, I don't, was it his wife that he left, or just a girlfriend? I'm not sure.
They weren't married.
Yeah, because I think they ended up getting married when we see the National Enquirer later or something.
Okay, gotcha. So I mean, you could tell he just misses her so much, and that he still is looking after her. I see, that's, you just made it that way, Paul. But I don't get that sense, and I think that's because that is a testament to his acting. That you can tell he's not like leering; he's just concerned and still cares for her a lot. But
I wasn't looking at anything on the computer.
I was gonna say real quick, like, I know technically it doesn't have anything to do with this movie, but we were talking earlier about the franchise. If you watch Men in Black 3, I think it makes Men in Black 1 even better because now you have kind of the knowledge of why Tommy Lee Jones sought out Will Smith. And it's like, it brings all that emotion full circle.
Totally.
And it's a time traveling movie. So
Which, I mean, how can you lose?
basically just skip Men in Black 2 is what we're saying.
Yeah.
Men in Black 1 straight to Men in Black 3.
It's a good double feature.
Since we're on other Men in Black properties, I'm curious, have either of you guys seen the cartoon or care for the cartoon at all?
Yes, I remember the cartoon.
Half an episode once.
Whoa. And you loved it so much I didn't want to see any more.
Exactly. Did you like it, Brother Nate?
It was okay for like the standards of the time.
Yeah.
Like it was typical, like we're going to license this property out to WB or whoever.
I think it's WB, yeah.
Making, kids WB. So the only thing I remember that stands out from that show, besides like the actors who are clearly not Will Smith and Tommy Lee Jones.
I know,
like
right?
They're just, but at the very beginning when they do the like the theme music, there's an alien that just does like a little razzle dazzle, like a Michigan J Frog soft shoe number for some reason. That was like the most entertaining part of that whole cartoon. This alien tap dancing for 15 seconds at the beginning of the show.
Wow.
Get this man some Pepto-Bismol.
I remember thinking some of the story, like I watched it every so often. I remember thinking some of the stories were interesting. But yeah, it would have just been so much better if it was Tommy Lee Jones and Will Smith voicing those characters. I mean,
that would have been the most expensive cartoon ever.
I don't care. Give it to me. Give it to me. I'll buy all the toys if that's the case. But
I do like that they brought Linda Fiorentina's character onto the cartoon, though.
Yeah, and
that's
cool.
That's something that was missed in the movies.
Yeah, I wound up really liking her at the end, and I'm glad she joined at the end. And I was disappointed not to see her. And I don't remember her in 2, but I certainly don't remember her in 3.
Yeah, she never comes back in the movies.
Yeah, I'm glad they brought her back for at least for the cartoons because I enjoyed that character.
And I think also like there are other people that reprised the role. I think Tony Shalhoub reprised Jeeves.
Yeah,
Jeeves? Something like that.
Jeeves is a great like secondary character.
Yes. Yeah.
Just
awesome.
Every time you see him getting his head blown off, it's like we shouldn't be laughing this much at this man's pain.
I know, right? It's true.
But he'll grow
we have no
one.
idea how much it really stings.
Oh, yeah, we don't. All right, so we all like the same things about this film. So I guess it's time to move on. But you know what, guys?
What?
I just remembered there was something else I liked.
Oh, I don't remember anything.
The Cellcast. Jacob and Drew review animated movies and TV shows, speaking of Men in Black, and discuss what they appreciate about them. Whether you are a fan of traditional hand-drawn animation, stop-motion, puppetry, or 3D animation, the Cellcast has you covered. Check them out at thecellcast.podbean.com.
All right. Is that because they reviewed the Men in Black cartoon?
No. But they have reviewed sci-fi cartoons, I'm pretty sure.
Like Godzilla or something.
Like Lilo and Stitch. You know, you love your Lilo and Stitch, Paul. So
there's aliens in that.
Exactly. And some like law enforcement of some kind. So
wait, when did I say I love Lilo? Never mind. Moving on.
You love all Disney, right? So
no.
I know
Lilo
you don't
and Stitch
really.
had a season. Like they had the movie and then the cartoon and
and then the sequel and then the sequel and the sequel and
I feel like Lilo and Stitch had like a good 6-7 year run and then it just kind of faded away a little bit.
Yeah.
So there, Paul. Is that a decent enough connection for you?
I'd rather talk more about Men in Black.
Fine. I guess we can go back to Men in Black. So did you all realize that Vincent D'onofrio researched his role as Edgar by watching a lot of bug documentaries? In order to achieve his character, and in order to achieve his character's distinct walk, he put on knee braces so he couldn't bend his legs and taped his ankles.
Oh,
that's a method right there. Yeah,
dedication.
Totally. Yeah, exactly. So my question to you guys is, if
Did
you
he
had
kill his wife?
No, I don't think so. If you
I got a question about these method actors.
Interrupt
when they do a dying scene, are they actually going to die so they know how it feels like?
It's called The Prestige.
Yeah. Exactly. They come back. Their clones come back.
Spoiler alert for the Prestige.
Yeah,
I guess
I just realized we're not covering the Prestige, so there are spoilers for that. Sorry, everyone. Don't listen to me. I don't know what I'm saying. My question to you guys, though, is if you had the abilities of any bug, so that could be like a spider or a six-legged bug or a centipede or whatever, anything that most people just call a bug, which bug would it be? Like, and what abilities?
If I was a bee, I could have unlimited access to honey.
So we're still humans. We just have the powers of a bug.
Kind of like Spider-Man. Like Spider-Man gets the spider abilities.
Oh, I think I'd like an ant because I think I watched Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, and they can lift like 100 times its own weight or something like that.
I think it's 50 times, but yeah, which is interesting that Ant-Man doesn't have that ability. He just shrinks down.
Yeah, well, there's a lot. Never mind. We won't get into the physics of Ant-Man.
Save that for another day.
Exactly. In about 10 years. Okay. Brother Dave?
Ant's not bad. That was originally going to be my guess, but just to be different, I'll go with a butterfly. Because technically a butterfly is an insect.
Yeah,
so like first of all, I get to live like the little caterpillar lifestyle for a while, and then I get to take a nice long nap, and then when I come out, it's like, hello world.
Right?
I can fly.
I can fly twice as high.
Just take a look.
Just flying over kids reading.
It's in the book.
Why is that butterfly always out here?
Let's see.
Plus, I don't think butterflies have natural predators either, which is a good thing.
You know, I don't know.
I thought birds did.
I would think birds would, but I don't know, actually.
Maybe it's man and their like pins and who collect them.
Good point.
Man
Paul.
was the deadliest animal after all.
Indeed. Dale says, cockroach, resistant to heat. Yeah, resistant to tons of things, too.
To everything.
Thermonuclear war.
Water. Cold, heat, ice, water.
It's ridiculous.
Everything.
Wow. Okay. So, for me, I think I would probably say a millipede, just because I think they look kind of cool with all those legs crawling around. I don't know. I wouldn't want to be a centipede because I don't want to be lethal. I just want to be cute.
I want to have more legs. Come on, give me a millipede.
Well, technically, centipedes don't have 100 legs and millipedes don't have 1,000 legs. It just looks like it.
Well, then what good are they?
I don't know. Whatever.
It's all a lie.
I don't know. Was that good trivia, Paul?
That was great trivia, Francisco. At least that's what the writing says.
You have to call attention to that.
And I have the answer to our last audience question, which is not our last one, but our previous one.
Fair enough.
Of all the Star Trek series, which crew is your favorite and least favorite to watch?
All right. So we had 3 responses this time. None of them from Dustin. Calling you out, Dustin. You could have had your started your dynasty again, but you didn't get
Dustin.
Missed opportunities. As we guilt shame our listeners. That's great, Paul. Let's not do that, actually, now that I think about it.
Dude, Francisco, what are you doing?
I'm buying time. That wasn't obvious.
How much did that cost? Oh, it's only shaming our listeners and our co-hosts.
All right, so let's spin the wheel to find out who gets it this time. All right, and this time is David from The Enthusiast. Congratulations, David. His response was his favorite is The Next Generation, and his least favorite was Discovery.
So, I wonder if he was sad that he discovered that.
I will say Bobo had a very interesting response because he claimed to be George Washington leaving a response. So that was fun.
Bobo usually has an interesting response.
Yes, but congratulations, David of the Enthusiast podcast. Man, can I not say that very well? You will be getting free Twitch subscription, though I think you may have one already, but if not, we'll definitely give you that, and you can use our emotes, have access to our bonus content for the month, and thanks for sending in your response. Paul, what about this episode's listener question?
All right, but before we get to this listener's episode question, I want to say about shaming the listeners.
Oh my gosh, here we go. What about that?
Sorry, y'all. It was an accident. Sorry.
You know what? I know how to make that shaming go away.
All right, just
now the listeners don't remember any of that.
oh wow,
Yeah.
okay.
It's an auditory and visual neuralizer.
All right, so
Props.
nice. So sorry, David, you win nothing.
You get nothing.
Not what I meant, Paul. Carry on, XO.
Okay, so here's this episode's listener question. This is a really hard one, okay?
Okay.
What is your favorite Will Smith movie?
Definitely After Earth. No.
Welcome to Earth.
Gosh, that's Independence Day, Paul. Okay, awesome. Well, yeah, send those answers of your favorite Will Smith movie. It doesn't have to be one we've covered on the show. It doesn't have to be 15 years ago or older. It can be from any of his filmography. But
Just
send
no
those.
TV movies.
Okay, does he have those?
I don't know, but if they put a couple of Bel Air episodes back to back, it might be.
It's a movie.
Okay. All right. So send your answers to trivia@retrorewindpodcast.com by the time we record our next episode, which will give you a couple weeks because during Sci-Frights, we only record 3 episodes over the span of 2 months as opposed to 4 episodes in a month. But yeah, send your answers again to trivia@retrorewindpodcast.com.
You know what the most important thing is about that, Francisco, when they answer this Will Smith question?
Ooh, what?
Yeah.
That they tell the truth.
Yeah.
Is that from
Concussion? That's a concussion. You remember when Will Smith made that movie with the terrible African accent?
I know what you're talking
Tell
about
the
now.
truth about the football man. You know, Roger Goodell. It's okay. It's not great, but it's not terrible either.
All
Hey,
right.
Francisco, you're
Yes,
either very
Paul.
smart or very stupid.
Thanks, Gene. Okay. Now that we have all had some trivial fun, let's find out some memories you, our awesome rewinders, had about Men in Black. David Bobke, aka George Washington, apparently says, I don't recall ever seeing this. I seem to think there's a bright light, but nope, can't say that I've ever seen it.
Interesting. Kevin Joshua Burnham says, I remember renting this movie on VHS because the animation show on TV. That was this was in 1998, I believe. This was in 1998, I believe, with us. My parents was mad because it was rated PG-13, but to them, it's R with salty language and body dismemberment. They never trusted the
Alien
video
dismemberment.
clerks. Alien, that too. No, there was some that guy folded in half, and
That's not dismemberment.
well, we don't know. They didn't show all the parts. They never trusted the video clerks at the video store again.
Oh, gosh.
Until Titanic, but that is another story for another
Oh,
time.
man. All right. Stanley Wright says, I remember it being a great movie. The smallest thing I remembered the most, the noisy cricket.
Wardell White says, Will Smith, hot off Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, and before he got jiggy with it, joins as he once said, a team that consisted of Steven Spielberg, Barry Sonnenfeld, and Tommy Lee Jones to make a great fun movie that will knock your people down. Cool to see the Beastmaster's arch enemy, Rip Torn, and Vincent D'Onofrio in this movie.
Indeed. Saint Clarasuka says nothing after the neuralizer. Laugh cry emoji. And Sarah 16, I think.
Thank you. We'll do with that. And Sarah 16 says the jumpsuit.
Which I don't like. Will Smith's, is that a jumpsuit at the beginning when he's running down?
When he walks in and he has all that gear with the when he into the MIB big building, and it's just that security guard there, just sitting there. He walks in with like this white and red like weird jumpsuit thing
like a little tracksuit.
Yeah, but It was
I don't know.
Yeah.
If that's what he meant, then okay. But I didn't recognize another jumpsuit somewhere else. Or her. I'm sorry, and Sarah. Whatever.
Yeah, the only other jumpsuit I know is Nicolas Cage's from Con Air.
Oh my gosh. The Mirage Pod says, "Funny you should ask. Literally every single line of the script."
All right.
He capped it, so I assume he was yelling.
Yeah. Maybe the script was capitalized. He memorized everything. Anyway, Carlo Miranda says, "What this a story all about how his wife got turned upside down? He'd like to tell a story. Just sit right there. He'll tell you about a universe on Orion's belt."
Eric Purcell says, I mainly remembered the Will Smith song. I also remember my local theaters being sold out for showings of this.
Yes.
Wow. Yeah.
That real quick, that soundtrack was fantastic.
Oh, yeah.
The Men in Black, I used to have that in my CD player and just the theme song, obviously, he had The Roots had a couple songs on there. I think Jermaine Dupri had a song on there with Snoop Dogg.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, Brandon. I think it was Branford Marsalis had a song on there with just like this futuristic kind of Afro jazz.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, the Men in Black soundtrack was a pretty big deal back then.
Oh,
cool. Back when movie soundtracks actually sold.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. That's interesting. Well, maybe it'll come up in dislikes, so I won't mention it here. Let's see. Stephen Hamilton says, excuse me. Stephen Hamilton says, "I remember the testing scene, the giant white chairs and the desk that Will makes a bunch of noise with. Also, the pawn shop scene is great. Thumbs up."
Stephen Forrester says, "I remember just loving every part of it. The humor, plot, aliens, and especially the interplay between Will Smith and Tommy Lee Jones. Yep. I've watched it many, many more times over the years. Definitely one of the best of the series."
Awesome. And Alex Ortiz closes us out by saying, "Oh man, I remember when the spaceship crashes through the big metal globe in Queens and Jay looks over at Kay with this little look like, it's getting awfully close. Are we going to back up or are we standing here looking cool?" And obviously staying cool. Exactly. And you know what else is getting dangerously close, guys? The things we didn't like about Men in Black. It's time.
Here it comes.
It's time for our
Worst three.
So, let's. I'll go ahead and kick things off with something I didn't like, and that's. And this goes sort of to what Alex Ortiz was just saying. Go away, Flem. Edit mode.
Okay.
Oh, thanks, Flem.
I'll be back. Sorry.
I'll be back.
Don't need
Where's that drop?
Right? It should be a drop. Sort of going back to some Alex Ortiz said, that final scene with the aliens, the spaceship hitting the globe, which is awesome, and them standing there, that's great. But when we finally see the reveal of the bug coming out of the Edgar suit, I think overall it looked good, but it was just weird seeing a bug with humanoid eyes. I would be expecting something that looked more like bug's eyes. I mean, not necessarily like fly's eyes or anything, because I don't think cockroaches have anything like that, but just something that is a bit more insect-like than is very like clearly human-esque predator. I think
they look like
eyes.
Human eyes. Like, you ever see like the what is it? The irritating orange, or the thumb movies with the eyes and mouths on the thumbs. Those had human eyes on there. I don't think the bug had human eyes. I think it had more like cartoon eyes or something.
Okay, cartoon eyes. But I mean like pupils and like eye sockets and stuff, as opposed to like an antenna or some sort of like
it didn't really look like a cockroach, even though it was like
from the back it looked like a combo cockroach cricket, I'd say.
I've looked at many faces of cockroaches, and that was not a cockroach face.
All right. Well, so that was my little quibble with this film to kick us off. Brother Nate, did you have any little quibbles like that?
This was hard because I think this is a this is as close to, especially in this genre, the sci-fi where PG-13 sci-fi, where we have to be edgy enough that we earn our rating, but we also have to be friendly enough that we don't scare off the kids.
Exactly.
And we have to have humor and we have to have action. So I think maybe my Tragic Maker is the only negative mark I have on it.
Oh my gosh, Brother Nate. Well, then let me give you some other things to not like. How about, you know what? Here's a question. This is what I was going to bring up before. You didn't bring up the Danny Elfman's score. Did you not like Danny Elfman's score?
I thought it was fine. I thought at the beginning...
I wasn't asking you, Paul. I was asking Brother Nate, who doesn't have other things they don't like.
I was interrupting him before he could even start.
Like I feel like the score, like the first time I saw it, it didn't register. Because I feel like, for me, scores, unless it's something like, just iconic like Star Wars with John Williams. Yeah. Unless it's something that kind of reaches out and grabs you and smacks you on the face, it takes me 2 or 3 times through the movie before I start to hear like the themes and the little intricacies of the soundtrack. So like the first time I saw it, back in '97, I honestly couldn't have told you what the music was except for dun 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 dun. Yes, and then the Men in Black theme song.
Exactly.
But now looking back at it, it's like it fits for this. It fits for this movie, and again, it's menacing enough, I guess, but also whimsical. Like it's not too scary, and it's not too silly. So it's right in that sweet spot.
Yeah. Which I think Danny Elfman was a good pick for that type of score. All right, so that wasn't, I guess, really just like that's okay. So I tried.
So you missed on that one.
Well, I have a second chance for you, Brother Nate. But Paul, what's something you don't like?
The white text on almost a black background with a flying bug. Just get right to the paratrooper. Just get right to the troopers with the text over it. Not do the whole bug thing.
Paul, they're trying to set up a whole metaphor for the bug's life doesn't matter much. And they're going to kill the bug in the end. It's foreshadowing.
Yeah, and by the time the end of the credits is, it's pointless.
I thought it wasn't just plain text on black background.
It was all
plain black text.
It was white text. It was a dark night. And it was a bug flying. That had nothing to do with the plot.
But I mean, at least the text had like a little flavor to it. Like
the font was cool.
Yes, the font was nice.
Cool. Yeah.
It wasn't just Times New Roman.
Yes,
but let's get to... All right, we already have one introduction with the whole illegal aliens, and these is really illegal aliens. And then you have another introduction of Will chasing a guy, and then like getting into like being introduced to the bugs with coffee and stuff. And it's like, we already have several intros going. We don't need a flying bug sequence with nothing going on.
I guess, you know what? I guess I see your point with that, but... I don't know. I feel like you're stretching a little bit, but all right, Paul. All right.
Like my head?
Oh my gosh. For those not seeing the video, you are missing quite the treat. Let's see. Let's go back then to myself, and MIB. This did not make any sense to me, and maybe you guys can explain it to me because maybe I just missed something. But when do you recall the scene where Kay, Tommy Lee Jones' character, is showing all the gadgets and stuff that they have patents on to Jay? Like he shows them that's where he like Jay hits the ball that goes and bounces and destroys everything. And
sorry, y'all, it was an accident. Sorry.
Exactly. Right.
That's a beautiful scene too. Like it's just long enough because I think if it had gone a beat or two longer, it would have been too much.
Exactly. I totally agree. I thought it was well done. I don't have any issues with that scene. Right before that happens though, Tommy K is showing him these devices, and one of them is a universal translator. And he's like, human being, this doesn't work with humans because aliens think that, the sound doesn't work or whatever. I forget exactly how it phrases it, but they have a universal translator. Then later on, when the Archilians, whoever's the alien race that the guy who dies from the bug who has Rand's belt is from.
Yeah.
They're like, we need to translate this. It's going to take the twins some time. I'm like, you have a universal translator. Why is it going to take you any time? They should just plug that puppy in.
It's not as universal as it claims. Like a USB port isn't as universal for all the ports in all the world and all the universe.
Seriously, Paul, you're going to USB.
Seriously, Francisco, you're going to use the universal translator on this?
Yes, because it's universal.
Okay, so it's a USB.
Is that what the U in USB stands for?
Yes.
Universal Serial Bus or something like that?
Yes.
Oh, well, I didn't know that.
The more you know. Where's the rainbow?
Copyright Universal Studios.
It's probably in a book. I should take a look. All right, fine. Well, it still bothered me because it seems like
maybe it got damaged when Will messed everything up earlier.
That's good.
I mean, I guess, but I don't know. Okay, well, whatever.
The wizard did it.
The wizard did it. Wow. Okay, Brother Nate. Here is, since you only have your treasure maker, here's another possible dislike for you. How is it that the gun that the person we think is Ray Park at the beginning that Will Smith is chasing down, he busts out this weird looking gun to shoot Will Smith, and it drops and just like turns into like a firework dazzler show on the ground.
Yeah.
Didn't that seem like a bit cheap to you?
I mean, we don't know the quality of the alien weaponry that this person bought. You know, man,
that's like a baby's toy.
We don't know
that disappear.
We don't know the quality of the weapons that Jeeves is selling out here on these streets. You know, maybe he only had enough to buy this toy. You see, you're focusing on that instead of the fact that this police officer ran down a cephalopod.
Cephalopoid, I think, but yeah. Oh my gosh! Oh, yes, it is close.
Like that scene again, like when fake Ray Park blinks his eyes, and we get like the extra eye blink. It's like, wow, like that's a cool little effect.
It is, and it's a great that's the perfect way to introduce him to something's off. I think that is a great little nod to that. Yeah.
Yeah. Forget the fact that he just scaled the walls like Spider-Man.
Whatever, Paul. Apparently you want to chime in though, Paul. So what's something you didn't like?
I did like the eye effect on fake Ray Park there.
We got to figure out his name. What is his character's name? I wish I could. I don't know what his character's name is. Otherwise I could nail it down.
Watching this in HD, some of the effects did not do so well through time, and that was a little disappointing. If you watch it on a clear enough screen, when the whole alien ship is crashing right in front of the two and they're just standing there looking cool, if your screen is detailed enough, you can see it kind of like a feathered outline of the characters, like they're just in front of a green screen there or something. Right. It's kind of, it takes the illusion, the coolness factor away a little. If your eyes are used to seeing that kind of thing, unfortunately. If your eyes are, I think it's a double-edged sword. You're blessed either way. If you're blessed to have eyes that pick out great details, that's good. But if you, this is one of the cases where you're blessed if you don't have those kind of good eyes.
Okay, I finally found it. Speaking of good eyes with the blinking and stuff.
The aliens helped you.
Fake Ray Park, his character's name is just Perp, and it was played by Keith Campbell. So, sorry, Keith Campbell, that you look so much like Ray Park that we got confused. But now you are I was going to say exfoliated, but that means nothing in the context of this. You are redeemed?
Okay, that'll be my second dislike, that they didn't properly credit Keith Campbell.
There you go.
And they didn't cast Ray Park.
Or that they did cast Ray Park.
Yes. I mean, after Will and Tommy Lee Jones, like they didn't have enough money for Ray Park.
I guess that's
they're like, who's Ray Park's union equivalent? Keith Campbell? You're hired.
And Keith did a good job. I mean, he scaled those walls like better than Spider-Man.
Did some good parkour before parkour was a thing. Totally, yeah.
Yeah.
Though that might be a stunt person, I don't know. But regardless, okay. So your thing, what was it, Paul? I guess I kind of
the special effects don't.
Don't hold up. Like there's some feathering. There's some things on super clear. Okay.
Yeah.
I was watching this. I was watching the. Let's see. I think it was the Voodoo, the digital copy on a 720p screen, and I thought, look, the smoke in that scene. I guess I could kind of tell the line was just off a little bit to compare.
When
to
he
Will
was
Smith
waving that fire branch at it. That fire was a little off. Anyway.
Oh, that looked fine to me. So okay, so
good.
So it's very most of it looked great. So okay, but I can see,
especially when you think about like this is going on 25 years.
Yeah,
like,
totally.
Like I said,
compared to some of the other sci-fi movies of its time that now look like garbage.
Yes,
yeah,
exactly.
Considering you're right, the effects in this overall are good for its day. Yeah,
totally.
And like especially the practical ones, like you were talking about earlier, Francisco.
All right, well then, I think that leaves just our tragic makers. So,
yes,
Brother Nate, why don't you give us your tragic maker, your authentic Brother Nate tragic maker for Men in Black?
My tragic maker applies not only, it's so tragic, Francisco and Paul, that it applies not only to Men in Black, but Men in Black 2 as well. It's a 2-movie tragic maker.
Oh, interesting. I'm very,
and that is that Linda Fiorentina is underutilized in this movie and then not use it all in the sequel. Because I think there was an opportunity to do something really cool with her and Will.
Yeah.
Because like the first time they meet, he thinks, this weird lady from the morgue is trying to hit on me. And and like that whole scene with the two of them is just great.
Yeah.
And I feel like this might be a weird comparison, Paul, but I feel like if they went ahead with the sequel with those two, it would have felt almost like the X-Files a bit, where Linda's character is kind of more like the the Mulder.
Science. Yeah.
Well, it almost be reversed because Linda was the one that believed in conspiracy theories and all that, and then Will was like the straight-laced detective cop compared to her.
Yes.
So I think that could have been really fun and unique. And that one shot that we get at the end with her in the suit and her and Will, like it just like, oh, what could have been? But instead we did Men in Black 2, and that was not, I mean, Men in Black 2 isn't terrible, but it's not nearly as good as 1.
You know what's so fascinating about that, Brother Nate? Because I feel like I can totally build, like, my tragic maker would have been solved, I think, if they did something with Linda Fiorentino. Man.
Oh,
Fiorentino.
Go ahead. Tell us your tragic maker. And then
so
what a good segue.
For me, I feel like it's almost... I almost wish there was something a little more weighted that Jay was leaving behind. Like when he has to make that decision and he's out there on that park bench overlooking, I think Manhattan all night. It's like we don't see anything in his life other than his job that he's leaving. Yeah. And so I almost wish that there was some romance building between him and Linda's character. Like beforehand, I mean, they meet for a brief split, but I almost wish there was like a relationship evolving. And then to have that,
which could have made sense, being that he's a cop, like he probably crossed their path before.
Yeah. And so if you establish that they're like maybe started dating, and then she gets her memory wiped, a la 50 First Dates, and then he knows about that relationship, but she doesn't, and that he almost has to rebuild the relationship until she gets mind wiped again. And
I'm already lost.
Paul, it's the idea that he decides, you know what, he's leaving behind more than just his job to join Men in Black. That makes his sacrifice all the more interesting and weighted and grounded than him just like, well, I'll just trade this job for a cooler job. It's like, well, who wouldn't make that decision?
What else would he be leaving since you're not supposed to have any kind of, no one's supposed to
That's
know
the
you?
point. That's the point that makes it all the more like gut wrenching that he's like making this decision. Like, I'm going to go and do this thing, even though it's costing me a lot. Right now in this movie, it's not really costing him that much. It's costing him a job he does.
You want the stakes to be higher.
Yes.
Oh, I don't see how.
I just told you how, Paul. I don't know. What do you think about that, Brother Nate?
I mean, I'm anything that'll get us more Linda in this movie, I'm for it. Because she's really good. And the other thing that's so sad about this is, like, I feel like 97, 98, 99, like, that was the peak of her career, and you never really see her anymore. And she was a really good actress.
Morgue.
Oh my gosh, she's back at the
They
morgue.
flashy thinged her, and she went back to the morgue.
Her last movie was in 2009, and it was before that 2002. Several in 2000. But yeah, Men in Black was probably, I'd say Dogma was another, I'd say fairly big one.
That's right. Yeah, she was in Dogma.
99, but then after that, I don't really recognize these other movies.
Yeah.
And I know all the movies, so if I don't recognize it, then,
Well, you recognize that wasn't Ray Park, so I trust your judgment for now.
Thank you.
I mean, Francisco knows Keith Campbell's work when he sees it.
Yeah.
Is that Ray Park? No, that's Keith. That's Keith.
Clearly, that's Campbell.
Yeah, guys, come on. What do you expect here? Paul, why don't you close us out with your tragic maker for Men in Black?
I found this is going to be a silly ninny thing, but I thought parts of it were a little bit too gross. I thought it could have been a little bit more family friendly.
Like the baby squid spitting up, get off my face.
Well, or, shoving the insecticide stick down the guy's throat.
That was, you know what? There was something that was fairly
That's right, yeah, because he killed David Cross at the morgue, and that's how because he was dripping. You're right. Yeah,
that was a key too. The guy folded. There were some sort of more brutal elements.
They had to earn that PG-13 rating.
These swear words aren't going to cut it. We need to show some brutality here.
Yep. I wonder, and I know Steven Spielberg's going to hate me because he's always trying to cross that line. But I wonder if it would, now granted $600 million is nothing to sneeze at, but I wonder if it would have done just a little bit better with the PG, because then it opens it up to the kids even more. But
though back in the, I don't know. I honestly don't know what it was like back in the 90s, because I have such a skewed perspective watching rated R movies since I was 5. So I don't know.
There are kids, there are adults who take their 5-year-olds to see rated R movies, but what I'm saying, it just opens it up just a little bit more. But I know also, you're right, Francisco, teenagers tend to spend their money more on PG-13 movies as opposed to PG, and that's where a lot of the money is. Yeah. So I understand that dichotomy, but I think it would have been more enjoyable for me if we did less of that.
Okay.
Of the grossness and the brutality.
Got it. Okay. That's totally fair. All right, guys. Well, with that, I think now that we've entered all our targeting information into the firing computer, Alice, do you have a firing solution for us?
No.
Firing solution complete.
Listen here, Big Chin.
Salvo at the ready. On your mark.
Can't Jay Leno me. Okay, guys.
That might be the only good joke in Men in Black 2.
Oh, is there a Jay Leno joke?
No, the chin, because Jay, spoiler alert for Men in Black 2, like, Jay's fighting these aliens, and he tries to kick one of the aliens in their private parts, and it has no effect. And he's like, Jay, he's a Baltinian. And he's like, so he kicks him in his chin and knocks him out.
Oh, wow.
Like, Will, you've done it again.
Well, okay. So let's go around. Let's start with Brother Nate. Moment of truth. What is your final rating for Men in Black? Is it a classic you'd recommend anyone see this movie, whether or not they've seen it before? A nostalgic you'd only recommend people that enjoy this movie as a kid or young adult? It's worth their time to revisit it, but if you've never seen it, just skip it. or a tragic, it's not worth anyone's time. Whether or not you enjoyed it before, just leave this one in the dust.
Yeah, this might be a surprise to the listeners. I'm gonna give it a classic. You know, I feel,
what?
Yes, I'll give you time to catch your breath.
Oh. Yeah, I'm floored.
Like I can see you spinning right now. You're spinning. And why the long face, Paul? But yeah, like this is a classic for me for a couple of reasons. Number one, it's a really solid movie that, like, even with some of the like grosser elements that Paul mentioned, I feel like it's a movie that kids can enjoy, you know, young adults can enjoy, old people can enjoy, you know, because it's I feel like it tiptoes up to the line, but it never really crosses that line.
Totally.
And it's too offensive. I feel like that chemistry between Will and Tommy Lee Jones is great. The sci-fi, the special effects is good. But it also is good to go back and watch for, like, if you hadn't seen this before and you've got one view of Will Smith in 2020 as, let's just say, a 15-year-old kid. And this has been the Will Smith that you've known, like, your whole life. Go back and watch Men in Black. That'll show you, like, the reason, like, even though Will Smith has made plenty of bad movies, there's a reason he still has a lot of goodwill from the audience out there. And it's because he was on Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. He was a great hip hop artist. And, like, in the mid to late 90s, like, there was a reason that he was called the King of Summer. Because every summer he put out, you know, Bad Boys, Independence Day, Men in Black, they were all hits.
Totally.
Even
I thought it was because he had that hit Summertime.
So
that played every summer in the radio.
Drums, please. Still a great song. But I feel like even his misses, like Wild Wild West is terrible. But I feel like the only reason that made some money was because Will Smith was in it. And so, like, if you want to remember or discover why, you know, this guy is still a big deal, and he's kind of found this new career on Instagram, where I feel like that's how my nieces know Will Smith now, not from the actor, but, he's the guy that makes those funny Instagram videos.
Cool. I didn't know he was doing something big on Instagram.
He is huge on Instagram right now and YouTube. Cool. Yep. And so, like, you go back and see why Will Smith is so, you know, fondly remembered from this time. So, Men in Black, easy classic for me.
Awesome. Okay. Paul, what's your rating?
My final rating is also classic.
What?
I thought it was a fun, enjoyable movie for the most part, except for those gross parts.
Okay.
And I don't suggest watching it like every year or something. That would get a little old, but it's been about 20 years since I've seen it, and I was surprised how much I enjoyed it. So I say, if it's been a while since you've seen it, go ahead and put it back on. And if you've never seen it, put it on.
Put it on, yeah, indeed. Well, I mean, I'm just lock and step with you guys. Yeah, this was just really fun. I'd forgotten, like you, Paul, I'd forgotten how much fun I would have with this. How much fun I had with this movie. And it was just a real treat to rewatch it again. I just was smiling a lot, chuckling at certain parts. And it was just, I really enjoyed it. Except for those eyes that weren't eyes. They need to be bug eyes. Come on. Anyway, well, according to the Retro Rewind podcast, we rate Men in Black a unanimous classic film. We recommend anyone go see this, whether or not you've seen it before. All right, guys. Well, we read Men in Black, but now it's time to get back to our own time. Good old 20XX.
20XX?
Comsat online. Receiving incoming transmission.
All right, feels good to be back, but we wouldn't have been able to travel back to 1997 to begin with if it weren't for our amazing reflux capacitors, namely Jared Holzhauer, Deborah Powers, Brian Keane, Patrick Hicks, LJ Lowry, Chris Cowan, the Fill in Film Podcast, Chris Owens, Geek Devotions, The Untold Podcast, Mrs. Lomax, James Kennison, Kevin Joshua Burnham, Drew of the Cellcast, Ashley Cronenbitter, Pastor Deucin, Kennethan, Redeemed Utaku, Ryan Lingle, and that's our Bobo. In addition to 5 other awesome patrons as well. Thank you all so much for keeping the gigawatts coming. And if you want to keep us flying for as little as $1 a month and get bonus content for your generosity, head over to retrorewindpodcast.com/support to help us grow via Patreon or Subscribestar.
And while we're thanking our supporters, we want to give a big alien hug to our subscribers on Twitch.
Aren't aliens usually small? I mean, I guess the bug was big, but...
Did you see the last one? Never mind. Anyway.
I forgot. It's years ago now. Sorry.
All right. We want to thank our subscribers on Twitch, which is another way to send us a couple bucks a month. And if you have Amazon Prime already, you could subscribe for free to Twitch. Find out how at retrorewindpodcast.com/Twitch Prime.
But what if you don't have the extra cash every month for Twitch or Patreon, but still want to support us? You could buy our merch, leave us a review on Apple Podcasts or Podchaser. But even better than that is sharing your favorite episode of the podcast with a friend, whether you listen for the banter, the trivial tidbits, or the occasional insights that usually comes from our guests. We would love more people to enjoy Retro Rewind Podcast for the same reason you do. So please be kind and share Retro Rewind.
You know what the difference is between you and me? I make this look good.
RetroRewindPodcast.com/210 is the place to find timestamps for this episode, links to contact us, and links for voting on the movies you want us to review. But that's not the only place you can reach us. Paul, where else can people find the show and also yourself?
PaulJPowers.com. You can find both there. Feel free to talk to us and share anything you like or find funny that's 15 years older on our social media. We are Retro Rewind Pod on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and you can join our Discord server by going to retrorewindpodcast.com/Discord. And if you think I'm reading this text, you're right. Also, I have mentioned we're on Twitch. Watch and chat with us live as we record this podcast, play retro video games, or create pixel art by following us at twitch.tv/retrorewindpod. And if you want to find me, Paul J. Powers, you can go to pauljpowers.com.
Yeah, you said that to begin with. Are you like bookending this section
That's
now?
right. Go to pauljpowers.com.
Thank you so much, pauljpowers.com, for being a fellow Men in Black friend and co-host. So appreciate getting to squash aliens across the universe with you.
Likewise, it's a blast. And we're also grateful for our guests for taking time to come out here and spend time with us, putting up with our shenanigans and giving us their insight on Men in Black. So, Nate Milton, aka Brother Nate, please tell us how we can find you online, and is there anything you'd like to promote?
Let's see. First of all, thank you for having me, gentlemen. It's always great to reconnect with you fellas and talk about these classic movies and sometimes talk about not so classic movies.
That's right.
Like what? What not so classic?
I think all the movies we've done so far together have been classics.
I think the ones you've been on, yes.
Yeah, so we haven't covered certain sequels on purpose, maybe.
Is there a third Spider-Man that we might not have talked about?
Emo Spidey. Here it comes.
Yes. But yeah, so thanks for having me back, fellas. You can check out more of my work. Follow me on Twitter at N8 MOZAIK at Nate Mosaic on Twitter. Check out the Kings of Sport. We have a Patreon. So while you are checking out the lovely gentleman to my stage left, I believe.
Yes,
right?
I think you're right. I think left, stage left, yeah.
While you're checking out their Patreon, check out the Kings of Sport. Patreon.com/the Kings of Sport. We've got audio over 100 hours of audio and video up right now, including MCU reviews. We've got a regular sports show. We've got some political shows for those out there that want to get political in these political times we live in, gentlemen. Just a bunch of different things that we want to kind of put out there for our listeners to give them some variety and then some entertainment, particularly right now, where everybody's trying to keep their sanity in the midst of our collective crisis. So you can check out the Patreon. Let's see, Kings of Sport. I've got
the wrestling
Post Wrestling.
Yeah.
Rocky Maivia Picture Show. John Pollock and Wei Ting Post Wrestling. I do the Rocky Maivia Picture Show where once a month I review one of The Rock's feature films. So the film currently up right now is I think it's Empire State. Empire State's the last one we did. And the next one, the one we're going to do for October, will be Hercules, which is everything ties all together because we mentioned Hercules a couple times on this very program.
Yep.
So,
So
you can check that out.
That or something. Yeah.
You can check that out at Post Wrestling. And let's see, Black Lightning Podcast, DCTV Podcast Network, a bunch of other shows, Place to Be Nation, but mainly just go to my Twitter, at @8 MOZAIK. You can find all of the, proper links and things there. And of course, Francisco, we have to promote PaulJPowers.com.
Oh, do
That's
we?
right. Your check's in the mail, Brother Nate.
I was like, what's you had me like all amped up. Set me up and knocking me down. All right. Well, yeah, thank you again so much, Brother Nate. It's always a treat to have you on the show. Thank you for making the time. So as much as I appreciate Brother Nate and appreciate Paul, I don't appreciate them as much as you. Yes, you listening right now. Jay, Tommy, Linda, thank you so much for listening. Whether this is your first time listening to the show or you're a part of our Rewinder community, thank you for spending time with us. And we pray you are more joyful now than when you first hit play. I have been and continue to be Francisco Ruiz. Find me on Twitter at FXRetro_ and DM me there for pixel art commissions, or you can find me on Instagram at FXRuizX.
And finally, we are honored to be part of the Christian Geek Central network at ChristianGeekCentral.com.
You can catch us at CGC or our website, but like a Pokemon, we gotta catch you all for who you gonna call? Ghostbusters! Our next episode of the Retro Rewind Podcast.
Retro Rewind mission complete. Proceed to nav point Omega and return to base.
I am just a figment of your imagination.
Whoa, what?
I don't know, but this just came out on the scanner. What? XO, quick! We need to send a message.
Okay, but only the Belgians can be trusted right now.
Well, who's the fastest Belgian we can send?
There's only one answer. Young Indiana Jones.
Then it is something that man was not meant to disturb. Trust me.
Are you making this up as you go along?
Yeah?
You don't believe me. You will, Dr. Jones. Mission accomplished. Full throttle. No break. Those people are trying to kill us. I know, Dad! It's a new experience for me.
Happens to me all the time.
Welcome to our watch along of Young Indiana Jones, where we're covering every chapter in between our movie viewings of Raiders of the Lost Ark, Temple of Doom, and The Last Crusade. You know, the only 3 Indiana Jones movies there are. And this time it was chapter 9, Paul, Demons of Deceit.
Yes.
Awesome. So why don't you give us a recap of what any projection specs you found for this episode, this chapter?
This is chapter 9, Demons of Deception. It combines 2 episodes, previous episodes that were released. The first one is called Verdun in September 1916, and the second one is called Paris, October 1916.
All right, so here's my synopsis of the 2 plots, my hopefully 1-sentence synopsis for each part. For the first part, which, did that have a name? I forget what you said. Verdun, September. Okay. Yeah. Essentially, Indy is a courier sending orders between the French command and the French front line, who is trying to capture this objective of prestige. But it's actually bad because the Germans are bringing in these really big Bertha guns to attack. So fortunately, Indy decides to not send that last message. I know there's a run-on, but I did it in one breath, I think.
Yeah.
A second episode was Indy gets in bed with this floozy who may or may not be a spy. We don't really know. And it's just him having an excuse for Indy to have sex with a woman, apparently.
2 weeks turns into 3 days with sex with a floozy in the next episode of the Young Indiana Jones.
Wow.
Chronicles.
So that's
pretty much it.
Yeah, I know, right? Though, okay, we'll get into dislikes here in a second. Let's start the conversation off with the things we liked about this chapter, though. Paul, what's something that you enjoyed? Or the thing you enjoyed the most?
I will say, I'll start off the bat by saying I enjoyed the second half more than the first half.
What?
Yeah. But I did like the dynamics of the first half of when like Indy was being chased by the airplane.
Yeah,
I thought it
that
had
was
good
cool.
tension.
Yeah,
there was another tension later that I thought it was actually and one of the things that stands out to me is Remy when he is on the hospital bed explaining that he doesn't want to go to the front line and he wants, and the reason why he's saying he needs an operation, all that. I thought that was a good standout moment from that.
Yeah.
The reason why I like the second one better, I thought it was interesting. I was kind of interested to see, okay, where is all this going? Even though it really, by the end, didn't go anywhere, but at least it held my interest. But anyway, that's the main things I liked.
I suppose that's fair. For me, I definitely like the first one way more than the second one.
Oh, interesting.
I really like the dynamic of he's this courier, and I would have loved more of like the type of plane stuff, or if he gets like has to escape some sort of a trap or he runs in accidentally to this German tank that happens to be there. I don't know, just some more elements like that. I really like this whole idea of he's this courier that keeps having to get in and out of danger. I was sad
that he lost that because I thought it was a good job or whatever for him to have for these adventures.
Yeah. I am curious though. Part of me, I think the way they set up the story is that the French High Command is really like pompous and doesn't really care about the troops.
So frustrating, but very realistic.
Very realistic. But I wonder, what if, I think that there's this element of if you're a commander and that a lot you're sending people to their death, but if those orders never get through, you have no hope of winning this war. Like this is like a crucial battle and you need people to do what they're told. Otherwise it's going to end up everyone dies. Part of me is like, Indy, I get why you're doing this, because he essentially he explodes his bike, burns up the message that it's going to send this French troops in and get obliterated by the Big Bertha, probably. But still,
I would reason that instead of going head on to these guns that would annihilate them, I think that Indy figures that they would reason that, if they don't get the orders, then hopefully they will come up with a different strategy to go around or just give up, because what's the point of fighting this war anyway? Let's just everyone go home. But who knows?
I did like one more thing I liked. I did like how they explained why they are in World War II, and it was like, we're all in this war just to defend this one country that Serbia that no one's ever heard of. I'm like, I never really thought about it that way, but that's probably a little simplistic, overly simplistic, like TV simplified, but still.
It is, but it's actually way more complicated and way more mind-boggling as why everyone was fighting each other, just because of the assassination of that one person. Anyway, there's a lot of life lost needlessly.
Yes, absolutely. All right, well, let's get into things we didn't like then, Paul. What didn't you like about either Verdun or Paris?
Yeah, the reason why I didn't like the first part is because of the previous episode that we had.
Sorry. No, this is World War I we're talking about.
This is World War I, yes.
I don't think we said two. Regardless, continue, Paul.
Sorry. Yeah, they were against the Germans in both.
Yeah.
The previous episode we watched called Trenches of Hell was against where there was a lot of war scenes and it was really intense, and I was like, this was really well done. This one, at least when it started off, at least the first half, there were big war scenes, but none of them were involving Indy's life. So it's just like, oh, here's what's going on. And this was more of at least the first half of the first episode, it was like more of like an emotional or some sort of art piece or something that was just like, okay, this is all happening with these generals, and this is like death and all this. And it just wasn't as involving for me because it wasn't Indiana like going through the trenches and trying to survive.
Yeah.
So that's why I didn't like this first part as much. And the second part, it would have been really interesting to find out, was she a spy? Was she dating a spy? Was this all for Indy to find out, like, oh, well, it's, if you're going to have a lover on the side, then why shouldn't she, or that kind of thing. Yeah. So it's
I
basically,
hope that wasn't the point, but it seemed like that was the point. Yeah.
It's just Indy showing like, oh, this is why he's jaded, because he's been with like the most beautiful women in the world who were jaded to him,
I mean,
something like that.
Guess. By the way, I think she was a spy, because when he first like meets her and she's coming out of that room with this like subtle like hushed conversation. Yeah, I'm like, I'm pretty sure a spy.
Maybe that was just a guy trying to hide from his wife.
I guess, but speaking to your point about the first step being all like art house-y, I'm like, I totally felt that way about the second part where what's all these like not flashbacks that are flashbacks of her like remembering her at the firing squad line, but she's not. I don't know what was going on with that.
It was only in hindsight that I was like, oh, I guess that he or she was just thinking, oh, this is what could happen.
Is that okay? I didn't understand that that's what I was supposed to evoke. I didn't know if that's what was going to happen. That's what did happen, and now she's resurrected some way or reincarnated. It was just
they put her in the Lazarus pit, and everything's fine.
Oh no, they got the Grail. They found the Grail early on, then hid it. They gave it to the knight. Yeah. Okay. Oh my gosh. Yeah, but I just did not like the whole like I was here until I was here at 11 and you didn't come here all night. It's like, well, okay, leave. You don't have to be there.
Yeah, but she's like the best thing ever. So of course you're gonna
she
stay.
So isn't the best thing ever. Oh my god.
Well, he finally realized that.
Realize it sooner before you give yourself away. Come on, Indy. Be of sterner stuff.
He is now.
Yeah, I suppose. Anyway, so yeah, I did not care for that whole dynamic, and if there was some spy element to it, I think then like very like true spy element, like because he was giving away state secrets, like he was talking like
our lines
shut up,
and
shut it up right now. What are you doing? But I wish there was some payoff for that. I think that was more I think I would have been okay with the whole like relationship blah. If there was some payoff for is she a spy, is she not a spy? But we'll never know.
Yeah, I thought adding the spy element, they hinted at it, which was interesting, but I think it would have made the episode more interesting if there were spy elements.
Yeah.
Rather than just being hinted at it. Yeah.
All right. Okay, Paul. Well, so
overall, did you like it? No?
Yeah, I think I liked less than I did. Like I liked some of it, but I disliked more than I liked.
I have the same response.
All right, so thumbs down, retro thumbs down. Okay, all right, so I guess that leaves only like the first episode somewhat, and then the Trenches of Hell, the two episodes that are kind of thumbs up.
I like the first Young Indy one with the oil or the car.
I don't remember that, but regardless.
You know when he
with Thomas Edison's car?
Yes.
Oh yeah, that was kind of cool. Yeah, that was pretty good. Yeah. I wish it was flipped. It was the oil company than the Nazis, but we won't go back into that discussion regardless.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Paul. always fun getting to chat, even though some of these episodes are like really, why did we take our time? But it's still fun getting to discuss them with you.
Yeah.
So for me, for Paul, we bid you a whoop-ah.
I almost got the Friends sound clip of him going whoop-ah, but I don't. Sorry,
That's
I
fine.
only
Do the
have
real one. Do the real one.
Yeah, or that.
There we go. I'm like, the other one was like way too much.